Hello, Simon Rainier of Links Armazzare, and thank you for joining me on my little stroll. I'm just out here, walking the dog, and I thought, since it's a lovely day, and I feel like making myself angry, let's talk self-defense. I know, another HEMA guy, rattling on about self-defense, stay in your goddamn lane, etc., etc. Yeah, sure. I've actually been doing self-defense for almost as long as I've been doing HEMA. And they are entirely separate arts with maybe a little bit of crossover. It's important to mention, when I talk about self-defense, I'm not talking about the typical wrist-locked armbar to groin strike bullshit that gets commonly sold to, let's face it, vulnerable people, and the kind that makes me so very, very upset. When I was developing a self-defense program with a friend of mine, and to this day, I stand by it, we had something we called the 3 A's: awareness, avoidance, and action. Think of it kind of like a pyramid, like the food pyramid. Awareness is a really big one at the bottom. That is the most important. In the middle, avoidance. And finally, action, which is where you begin to find all of the, crap. It's at that funny little tip top of the arrow, or the triangle, pyramid, whatever you want to call it, that you find, that's where you find, the moves. And any self-defense class, how do you tell a bad self-defense class? Any self-defense class that spends more than 10% of their time on that last step, probably not very good, sorry to say. Self-defense classes, self-defense training should be almost entirely based around scenarios, role-playing, de-escalation, non-violent de-escalation, and that kind of thing. And if there's too much violence in your self-defense class, it's going to be useless, honestly. The real point today is situational awareness and how to kind of gamify that. Now, I've seen one that I know as the 5 senses drill, where you come up with, you're looking around, you find something you can see, something you can hear, something you can smell, something you can touch, something you can taste. Griffin, can I taste you? No, that'd be gross, right? Even he thinks I'm weird. That's okay. It's fine if that works for you. I've never really liked it. I have an alternative, and it's specifically dependent on seeing people and how to do, I call it my 5-point threat assessment system. And it's a little game that teaches primarily awareness. Any person you see, you mark on a scale from 1 to 5. It's a super simple scale. There are no zeros. Maybe like a small child would be a 0. If you feel like forcing that in there, sure. A 1 is your typical person who is basically no threat to you. And usually I include people in this who are physically smaller, because level 2 is anyone who is physically larger than you. Just someone who, if they were to pick a fight, there'd be some issues. And these people, level 1 and level 2, are absolutely nothing to be afraid of. They are, generally speaking, just normal people going about their lives. You don't need to worry. Level 3 is the first level where we actually have to start, potentially doing something. And that's just someone who kind of twigs you the wrong way. For whatever reason, they just make you uncomfortable. I highly, highly encourage everyone to kind of trust their instincts. If someone makes you uncomfortable, listen to that. You may run the risk of feeling a little sheepish if you cross the street to avoid someone who you think is upset, who twigs you at number 3, but that's valid. Better to be embarrassed than, have something bad happen to you. My best example for level 3 is I was at Moonan's Pub in Kelowna, which is a Viking-themed... Hello, woodpecker. You're loud. A Viking-themed pub in Kelowna. Super cool place. Check it out if you can. And I was there with a bunch of people back when we were allowed to do that kind of thing. And among those people was my friend and student Jed. And without even really knowing why, we just kind of looked at each other, and sort of started eyeing this person who just kind of walked behind our table. Later on, about 20 minutes later, we realized they had a gang shirt on. The nice thing about this is if you do it enough, it becomes second nature, and you don't even really know. And that person was a 3. A very, very solid 3. Like, you don't... Something was up, they were worth kind of keeping half an eye on. Level 4 is anyone who is actively making you uncomfortable. Level 3 is sort of passively, level 4 is actively. So, for example, rowdy drunk on the street. That's a level 4. And that is the first level where you very definitely have to start thinking about what kind of actions you're going to take, what kind of avoidance you're going to do. Whether it's crossing the street, going into a busy store, finding somewhere that you feel safe. Level 4 is, yeah, you got to do something about it. And I've only come across like a very, very few handful of level 4s in the past year, sort of thing. Like, it's rare. As long as you are, you know, living a safe life. Level 5 is someone who is acting aggressive, acting in a way that is dangerous. The drunk person who's not just belligerent, but is actively threatening you, or someone around you, or just being violent. That is a situation where you must act immediately to remove yourself and get yourself somewhere safe. And in my entire life, I've only ever been in a situation where there's been like 3 or 4 5s probably. So how this works overall is you practice constantly. Any person you see, you put on a scale between 1 and 5. There's no wrong answers, because it's just mostly about training awareness and being aware of the people around you. Pretty soon, it'll become second nature, and you'll do it without thinking. 1, 3, 2, that kind of thing. Again, 4s and 5s are rare. And yeah, practice it. You can do it totally silently, at a glance. Don't worry. If you have to spend more than like 3 seconds figuring someone out, move on. I don't know. Put them at a 3 or something and move along. It's really not something that's supposed to be like stressful or take a lot of time. It's just supposed to be an instant, like quick. And all that really does is makes you watch people. And people who are sort of a general rule, which should not always be taken seriously, is bad people are looking for victims, looking for people who aren't paying attention, who have their hoodies up, earphones in, and nose buried in a book at night, which I've seen. So as long as you're like looking around at everyone, you'll probably get left alone even, which is even better. Yeah, 5-point threat assessment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try it out. I really like it.